Well, let's proceed with some of the callers tonight. We've got Matt on the line in Clinton tonight. So, hey, Matt, welcome to Law Call.
Hey, how y'all doing
there.
tonight?
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. I had an officer from Thorsby stop me in Clinton. I went from one drugstore to the other. I have a special needs child, and they had like an hour and 45-minute wait. And one of them had my child's medicine ready, and the other one said it'd be like 15 minutes to fill it. So we're right across the street from the other, and I see a friend of mine from work. He approaches the car, and we talk. So we get done talking, and I go over to the other drugstore, and the guy approaches my car and says he needs to see my ID, does not identify himself, anything like that. And my wife comes out of the store, and he told her that she just needed to stop. He needed to speak with her, and so I told her just to calm down, just get her ID out and everything like that. At no time did he ever identify himself. He was plain clothes, and he was out of his jurisdiction, if you ask me. I mean, if he's a Thorsby narcotics officer and he's in Clinton, I think he's in the wrong spot. But when we left and he gave us our ID back and everything, he said, okay, y'all are ready to go, I'll run you later. Like, this didn't seem right. So we called Children's
I'll do
County.
what later? What was that part? Did you catch it?
I'll run you later.
Oh, I'll run you later. Okay. All right. So
Yeah,
what is the bottom line? Matt, what are you looking for tonight? What's the question you have?
Well, one, there was 4 or 5 other people over there talking in that parking lot, and it just so happens to be I was the only one talking to a black friend of mine. And 2, well, I mean, he had no right to do that.
Okay,
And,
so let's pause there. So what is the jurisdiction if an officer is, obviously this guy, Matt, feels like the guy was out of his jurisdiction. So how does that play out?
Well, he might have been out of his jurisdiction, and obviously if he's not in his jurisdiction, there are severe limits on what he can do as an officer. I had a little difficulty hearing the caller, but it sounded like he said he was plain clothes.
Yeah.
Certainly, anytime an officer wants to approach someone in their jurisdiction, especially if you're going to be outside of your jurisdiction, you need to identify yourself as a police officer. Now, whether he had to show him his ID, you don't have to do that in that circumstance. I think it's best to cooperate unless there's a reason not to. But in that situation where you've got someone outside their jurisdiction asking you to produce an ID, and he obviously intended to run his ID. And so what they're looking for a lot of times are you someone with a warrant or someone with a history that I can use as an officer in a drug investigation. I'm not sure what his purpose was being there, but it sounded like there were problems.
What rights does any of us have as far as if you feel like you're being harassed?
Well, it just depends on the circumstances.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people feel harassed when they're being, questioned or investigated by an officer, but that doesn't mean you have a right to object to it.
Yeah.
And if the officer has a reasonable suspicion or a warrant or any, a valid reason to be there and asking you these questions, you may feel harassed by that, but you still have to comply.
You need to just participate.
Let's just say that this officer or this undercover agent wanted to search this gentleman's vehicle right there on the spot. What is that person's rights? What can he say to the police officer at that point?
Well, he needs to say, show me your warrant. A police officer cannot search your vehicle without a warrant unless the police officer has probable cause or reasonable suspicion to think that you've just committed a crime, that you've got maybe a weapon in there that he needs to protect himself with. But even under that circumstance, the police officer needs to articulate what it is that gives him suspicion that there is either contraband or a weapon in the car. And it really, I think the law says it needs to be in plain view, like the butt of a gun showing under the seat. He can search your car. But if there's nothing there and he's got his suspicions and wants to search, he needs to give you a warrant. Otherwise, you don't have to let him do it. If you say, I've got a gun in here or I've got drugs in here, you have waived your right to keep him from searching the car at that point. So there's a lot of dialogue that goes on in the cases I see.
All right, let's take our first break in the show. When we come back, though, can cops do that? That's the topic tonight.